Welcome, everybody. We are excited to welcome all of our AAE and NSLA families to our first parent forum of this school year. I am here joined with our admin from both of our schools and a couple members of our executive team. We know that on the top of your minds is the same thing that's on the top of our minds, besides being really excited to open the school doors again and get new classes and kick off what we think is going to be the best school year ever. Of course, we are being very mindful about school safety and know that as a school year wrapped up last year, it was the #1 thing on all of our minds. So we have been hard at work all summer making plans for this school year, and we wanted to start off this school year just with an opportunity for us to share with you what are some areas that we're very focused on for the school year, and then also to have plenty of time for questions and answers. We have almost 150 families registered for tonight's forum, and so we are thankful that you're taking time out of your evenings to join us, and we want to encourage you to put any of your questions into the questions slot there. Also, in questions, because we don't have chat, we would love to know which school you're representing tonight. So if you, in the questions, you want to kick us off with just saying if you're from AAE or NSLA and maybe the grade levels that your child or children are in, that would be great. And we have a lot to share today, and then like I said, plenty of time for questions. So our big topics, basically we're going to talk about 4 big buckets, because those are the areas that we heard from you were really important last year. So first, our principals are going to talk to you about the campus safety measures that we have in place, the physical measures and personnel measures that we have. Then we're going to go into talking about the staff training that we have planned for this year, and then into student supports and resources, things that we have available for our students, and then of course other resources that we have for our parents and families. Because we know that it takes all of us to keep our kids safe and to make sure that we're working together as a team. So, and then plenty of time hopefully at the end for questions and answers. So I would like to introduce all of us Lewis Center staff. We have our cameras on. So if I haven't had an opportunity to meet you yet, my name is Lisa Lamb. I'm the president CEO for the Lewis Center. And joining, we have Marcelo Congo. He is our Director of Special Education and Student Services. We have our new Rocket Man principal, Victor Uribe, who is our Norton principal. We're very excited to welcome Victor to the team. Erica Agusa, our Norton's new secondary vice principal. Very thankful to have Erica on our team. And Miss Myrna Foster, not new to us, a long-term member of Norton's admin team, and excited to have the 3 at the helm at Norton. And then from the AAE team, we have our new to us principal, Mr. Chet Richards, and Sally Ritchie as our secondary vice principal, and Dr. Lisa Longoria as AAE's vice principal. And then of course also Mr. Ryan Dorsey, who is our director of IT and global programs. And so together we are going to be sharing with you different aspects of these areas. So I think Chet's going to kick it off.
As Lisa said, I'm Chet Richards. I'm the new principal at AAE. There are things that are already in place. There's always been a focus on safety in our campus. It's been in the media, so there's other things that we're trying to do to transition to increase the safety features on our campus. Already in place is our manned kiosk. We have a kiosk that is the one-point entry for our school. We have someone there that has information, has the radios, has a phone, has the cameras, and is able to give us information and notify us of everybody who's entering and be of service to them when they enter. We currently have a camera system that is functioning. We have all the areas of the campus monitored. This year we have new uniforms for our campus safety officers. We had called them CDs in the past. This year we're calling them campus safety officers. We have them in these blue polos that are on the slide, so that they're able to be identified, and we are able to, the kids know who to get in contact if they have any safety concerns. Actually a few, I don't know how many years.
Last year
we started the Stop It app. which allows students and parents to be in contact with us and let us know if there's anything that we need to be aware of. It's an anonymous opportunity for them to give us safety concerns. So we've been working on other things. There are things that are in progress so that we can, again, ensure that our students and our staff are safe. We're working on closing up the perimeter of our campus and fencing off the river and north portion of our campus. We are doing a campus safety audit with the sheriff department so that they can help us identify any areas of concern. We'll be incorporating lockdown drills on our campuses so that our students and our staff know exactly what to do. If we have any animal on campus, any reason we have to shelter in place or lock down if there's an intruder that shouldn't be on our campus. We're reinitiating a safety committee so that we can talk about facilities, talk about areas of concern, and address anything that parents are concerned about, that our students or our staff are concerned about, and we'll be meeting monthly. We have Intruder on campus training that we'll be offering to the entire staff so that we know what to do if there is a hazardous concern on our campus. We are also, with our CSOs, the campus safety officers, we're offering 5 days of training. We want to make sure that we have the best of the best and they know exactly what to do if we have anything that causes us concern.
Norton? Victor, did you want to take this one?
Yep. So at Norton, what we already have in place, of course, is we also have the kiosk, which will be manned also during school hours for all the year as well. So that's going to be not a new thing, but we're also going to man it when we have instructional time going on. We also have our camera system going on. That's going to be a key feature that we use on camera for our safety. Campus safety officers as well. We have, of course, updated our uniforms. They are red, so I'm sure you cannot miss them on our campus. So there's no way you can miss our campus security officers. We have 12 positions at this point, so so we do have a good selection of staff members to be able to help us out. We're still looking for more. So if parents out there, if you know somebody that might want a part-time job, we are looking for the proud rockets that they can help us out with campus security. So that's just a commercial there, a little bit of commercial trying to get somebody more come to our site. Perimeter and interior, we have also fencing that we've added as well. We added some fencing in the back by the soccer field area as well, so our kiddos don't just end up scattering. If you've ever tried to corral cats, that's what our kiddos are like. They just go all over the place. So we kind of keep them in one area. In progress, we have meeting, of course, with the San Bernardino County Office of what is that, Sheriff's Department, which is School Police Services, and as well we have added red zones. What that means is that we're going to have specific areas for our kids to be at, so that way they don't scatter throughout the campus. We have a large campus, so our middle school and high school kids will have specific areas where they can be, just so that we can have a better monitoring and better supervision going on with our wonderful middle school and high school students. Our elementary kids are well behaved, so we just got to watch out for our middle school kids. And I don't know if for those that have middle school kids, they're wonderful to try to chase around. So that is what's in progress. Also, we have a dinner tomorrow with our Sheriff's Department as well, and with other dignitaries and politicians and all kinds of invited guests. So we will also continue to make connections with the community as well as with support services out there. And that's it.
Maybe Victor or Mirna, we might be able to clarify what we mean by one entry at NSLA. We don't mean for a drop off or pickup. We mean once during school hours.
Once they come to the kiosk, they have to come to the kiosk. That's the one entry also, or in the morning drop off, parents who have been there already, you drop off middle school, high school through Valley, and the rest elementary pretty much comes through the kiosk. But what we mean really is that once you are on campus, if you need to come out of your car and come into the office, there's only one point of entry for that, the main office. That's only because AE has different offices that people can go to. AE only has the main one where everyone needs to come through that one.
Okay. All right. Staff training and preparation.
So in addition to upgrading our facilities and maintaining them, we also want to help our staff to be trained to know what to do when we encounter any type of insecure or safety issue. So we're implementing Capturing Kids' Hearts. This is a training that a lot of our staff is going to go through. I think it's tomorrow and the next day. And we're looking at working with our kids and trying to find out what their needs are and getting to know them better and working to have them excited to be at school, but when they're having issues, have adult people that they can talk to, that they can relate with. This is the training that we have. It is a 2-day training. We also have upgraded our safety plan and our safety teams. We're going to be addressing that this year. It's been weird when we've been off campus. We've been distance learning. Some of that has fallen by the wayside. We're going to go back to our safety teams and our drill schedule, implementing fire drills, earthquake drills, and the
Intruder.
the drills.
Violent intruder drills.
Yeah, the intruder drills as well. We had already talked about the CSO training for 5 days. I apologize. The anti-bullying training, it's not just about keeping our students safe from outsiders, but also insiders and knowing exactly how to interact with one another. We want to work on their social emotional well-being, and there will be anti-bullying assemblies and training for our staff and our students. The CSO training I talked about before, we have 5 days allocated so that our campus safety officers are well-trained and prepared to keep our students and our campus safe. We've started active shooter trainings for staff. They'll be scheduled in August, but we'll revisit them and make sure that our staff know exactly what to do in case we have intruders that should not be on campus. We're planning multi-agency violent intruder drills with our local fire department and local sheriff department so that we can have real live active drills that mean more and have a true impact on our staff so we know exactly what to do. We have that mentality in place. The LCR safety and health and safety committees are being initiated again. We'll be meeting monthly to talk about any ways that we can keep our campus safe, our facilities safe, and our students safe and staff. And ongoing opportunities with community partners, the sheriff department, the police department, working with outside agencies to do the best that we can to keep our location secure and safe.
I want to stop for just a second. We have a lot of good questions, and I think it might be just helpful for us to make this interactive. So a couple things. So for both schools, I see some questions about one entry. Is that true? If somebody's going to cause us harm or they're coming in with ill intent, are they going to follow the rules? So we have precautions at both campuses. So of course, during pickup and drop off, there are more areas, points of access for pickup and drop off during those times. And as school starts, we lock down our perimeter. So that's why we were sharing that we've added additional fencing this summer at Norton to be able to further lock down all gates and access points so that everybody can only go through the kiosk and the main office. And here at AAE, we're looking at fencing the entire perimeter of the campus, which is something that we never really even had been able to consider doing because we do have exposure in that backside. So of course, we don't want to tighten down so much that drop off takes you 3 hours, but we also want to be able to tighten up the gains there. Also, if anybody is interested in joining the Health and Safety Committee, we definitely want parent involvement, so parents from both schools. So if you are interested, please just drop it in the question and how best to contact you. We are having our first meeting on Friday And at that time, we will develop a schedule. So we will definitely have a Zoom option because we are an organization that has staff in Apple Valley and San Bernardino on every given day. And so that could be a virtual option. So if you're interested in that. And then the frequency of drills did we talk about that in this one? It will be monthly at both schools. And both schools have earthquake, fire, lockdown, and we will be doing additional training. So every single month, all the vice principals have those planned and they'll be shared with teachers on Friday. So, and we do understand that we didn't do those like we typically would have last year. And that's because we were in a global pandemic with COVID and we were really focused on distance learning and bringing students back and independent study. It's no excuse, but we definitely didn't have the cadence of drills that we would typically expect, but we do have those definitely planned for this year at both schools.
There.
Question about the safety committee.
So joining the safety committee, just put your name, the school that your children attend, and your best contact information, and we would love to have you join.
Or designated staff for managing the kiosk here at AAE.
Designated staff for manning the kiosks varies. So of course our CSO staff is, we've hired new staff at both schools, and so the vice principals will be working to train probably all of the CSO staff. Am I correct? To do that job, and it will rotate. Anything else that you guys wanted to say about manning the kiosk? Because I know that that is very important.
I just worked on the schedule for Norton with our lead CSO and with Myrna, and we made sure that it is manned. The only time that they're not going to have, obviously stopping cars at the kiosk will be during drop off and pickup, because we're not going to stop every single car. But other than that, it is manned. We are definitely training each of the CSOs to make sure that they know who to let in, what the process is, who to radio to let the front office know who is on their way in. So that's definitely something that's in our plan.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. Anything you wanted to add, Sally, for AAE?
We were fortunate enough through the IT department where we have new computer equipment and greater resolution up at the area at the kiosk where the cameras are manned.
Okay. And keep those questions. Yeah, keep those questions coming in. A couple, there was a question about how can you voice your concerns to us, especially during time that we are out of school. So always you can contact, there's a contact us on our website, so you can always send an email through that way if you don't have any of our direct emails, and we get it. So those don't go unanswered. You could reach out to us on social media. We are always monitoring that as well. And then any of us, our emails are first initial, last name at lcer.org. So for instance, I'm Lisa Lamb, so llamb at lcer.org, and you can reach us. If we're not the point of contact for any specific question that you have, we will make sure to get you in touch with someone who is, and we want you to know that as our families, we tremendously value your trust in us. We want to partner with you. We don't want you to have, if you have a concern, we need to know about it so that it's something that we're taking into consideration. So we don't take that lightly. So please make sure that you do reach out to us. NSLA does have the Stop It app. It wasn't rolled out as widely last year. So both schools are going to reintroduce it to all middle school and high school students. And our secondary vice principals already have that in the plans, and they're working on that for the start of school.
Questions about the addition of campus safety officers at each campus?
Yes. So both schools, I think, have 14 or so campus safety officers, formerly known as CDOs. And one of the things that we're really working on that both Mr. Richards and Mr. Uribe talked about was training. So each one of those staff members, we are setting aside 5 full days of training to just make sure that they have all the tools and resources that they need. So we did have issues with vacancies last year because there are labor shortages that impact every sector right now, and we are not immune from those. So I don't know who, I forget who is plugging, but if you are interested in working at your child's school, or you know somebody amazing, maybe a retired law enforcement officer or somebody who would like to work at our schools, it's a great environment. So we would love to continue to have them on.
Will students participate in the active shooter drills?
So
Yes, it would be during school hours.
yeah. So we have the sheriff's, the county superintendent of schools, chief safety officer is coming to do active shooter training for both of our staffs in August. So during our staff meetings, and then generally we do an active shooter drill with our students as one of our drills. Did you guys want to share anything else about that? Of course, it's age appropriate.
Right. No, there are several strategies that we'll be sharing with the students and our staff, and they will be incorporated in the drill process, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And yes, we will talk with parents about that, so that if you have any questions, if your students come home with questions or whatnot, you know when those drills happened, and maybe some talking points with them. The full scale violent intruder multi-agency drill that we are working on for both campuses, that would be with police department, sheriff's department, fire, ambulance, all of our first responders. That would not be with students. That is a very intense type drill that is both a training for our first responders as well as for our staff. It's really intense and very realistic, and we don't include students in those drills. And so, okay. Let's go ahead and continue. Keep the questions coming, and then we'll take another break and start answering more. Hopefully we have more information. Okay. All right. Student supports and resources.
Thank you, Lisa. So I'm going to take on this one right here. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So throughout the year, ATM, which is administrative team meeting, meets and talks, regarding we have talks regarding needs, social emotional needs, behavioral expectations. And so the counseling team, as well as the administrators, hold assemblies throughout the year for anti-bullying assemblies, focus on behaviors and also making sure that students have clear expectations. So we're going to be conducting that throughout the year. The team is composed of administrators, counselors, and school psychologists. Currently, we have curriculum being implemented at different levels. For elementary, we have second step. In middle school and high school, we have second step and habitudes. These are important tools that we have to make sure that we're not just reacting to the social emotional needs of students, but we're also being proactive in teaching them, what is the expectation or what is expected of them in terms of behaviors and social emotional development. We also have advisory panels, so the principals often meet, and principals and administrators often meet with different groups, students and parents, just to make sure that we understand what the needs are. Sometimes the needs are not just based in the school setting, but also in the community. We want to capture all the needs and make sure that we're addressing all the different needs at every level. Go to the next slide, please. There you go. Thank you. Sally, are you taking this one?
I am. Stop It is a new program that we were introduced to last summer. We went to a demonstration. Of course, it was on Zoom. The program was fully explained in how it worked and how easy it was for both students and staff to be able to report any concerning behavior. Since we've implemented it, we have prevented 2 possible suicides. We've been able to catch kids vaping on campus. It's been a real help to us. The way it works is a student or a parent goes to either Apple Play or Google Play, downloads the app, and it's got a pretty distinctive logo there. And then what they can do is they will go on the application anytime there is any kind of concerning behavior, whether it be suicidal ideation, bullying, drug use, someone driving too fast on campus. We've had all sorts of things like that. But what they then do is they go in, file an incident. The incident remains anonymous. We do have a feature whereby it will allow an administrator or a team member to reach out and ask for more information, but it's pretty thorough in the information being given. The person making the report is never identified, but we are able to get help out to those who need it. We also, the Stop It app has a help me feature, so a student can report themselves as being in crisis. The 911 direct panic alert system, that means it calls at least 2 team members 24/7. I myself and Mrs. Andreasen took phone calls in the middle of the night on weekends. It's something we can get right on, and if necessary, involve this public systems or the first responders to get help. Okay, network and device safety. You're not going to get any kind of spam or anything like that through this company. They're very reputable. And they also offer social and emotional learning as well as safety and wellness training. Like I said, it's been an extremely effective program, and we've got it again for next year. Next slide, please.
Yes, thank you, Sally. And I just want to also, remind parents that at both campuses we have full-time school psychologists and counselors supporting administrators when we receive these phone calls, and we respond, accordingly in terms of providing supports, crisis response to all the students. In terms of suicide prevention, intervention, and postmention, we have a curriculum currently at both schools that we're promoting. It's called MindWise. It's something that we're bringing to the students in terms of, we're just trying to open up a conversation and making sure that we understand what the needs are. Also, we want to make sure that, we're capturing, again, understanding what the needs are and providing the appropriate resources. Go Beacon is a software that we have pretty much embedded in each school device. We receive notifications when students are experiencing, extreme social emotional concerns. For example, if they're suicidal or are talking about suicidal ideations, we usually receive a notification, and counselors and school psychologists immediately contact the families, and we intervene and we make sure that they get the right supports. We have full-time school psychs and counselors at both sites. I think I mentioned that already. I also wanted to mention that we're not working alone. It's not just Norton and AAE working in just the site. We're connecting with other agencies. Typically, we reach out to county for crisis intervention, and these agencies typically refer students to Loma Linda BMC or other behavioral centers throughout the county. The Desert Mountain Children's Center is a great supporter of the AAE and Norton sites, and they are pretty much always in contact with our staff in terms of responding to all the social emotional crisis and behavioral crisis that we may have on campus. Next slide, please. Care Solace is a great referral system for counseling services and psychological services. We used this throughout the pandemic, 2020, 2021. The community members, so even if you're not a parent at AAE or Norton and you know someone in need, you can just go on the website, click on this link, and create a referral for a person, or refer yourself if you need counseling services. It's a great system of support. It's 24/7. If you don't know how to utilize this support system, please reach out to any counselor, any staff member. We'll make sure that we help you, process this referral, and it'll connect you to many different resources, not just in the county, but also at the state level, in terms of, again, counseling support, social emotional support, psychology related services, therapy. So again, if you don't know how to process this referral, please feel free to reach out to any team member here, and we'll help you process this. Next slide, please. I just want to highlight, the great team that we have at both schools. Administrators are always supporting the social emotional team. The principals and Lisa Lam and the executive team are always, supporting us and making sure that we are aware of all the needs, right? Vice principals and principals are always connecting with our social emotional team. We have Ms. De Santiago at AAE, Christy Wilson at Norton, Jeannie Cook and Mr. Aragon are great counselors that are managing not just the academic component, but also social emotional needs. And we also have other counselors and other resources from county that are working currently at our sites, providing counseling supports and services, not just to students, but also the entire family. And again, we're always connecting with the community. AAE and Norton have great resources in terms of social emotional support because they have connections in the community, and we have them pretty much operating in our sites. So again, feel free to reach out anytime if you have any needs regarding social emotional learning or behavioral support, not just for students, but also for the families.
All right, Dr. Longoria, Family Supports and Resources.
Fantastic. We are so excited to welcome back our parent volunteers. We live and breathe by our volunteers in a lot of cases, so we're so glad to have them here at AAE and also down at Norton. Norton is starting their year off already with welcoming new parent volunteers into the workshop. They have already been scheduled. That will be August 11th at 9 a.m. You want to get in contact with them to get signed up for that. The workshop at AAE will be scheduled shortly, and we will get information out to families via our Infinite Campus Messenger when that is scheduled. If you need more details on what's required to become a volunteer at AAE or Norton, please let us know or just come to the workshop so we can give you more information. We offer Love and Logic parent workshops for our families, and if you're interested in that, please contact Tony Preciado. Her email is listed on the screen. And last year we were able to bring on some great presentations from our Sheriff's Department. They were phenomenal, and we are so fortunate that we get to partner with them again this year. So please be watching your Infinite Campus, our social media, for those different workshops to attend. They're fantastic, and they're online. So you don't have to show up in a particular place. You can participate from wherever you're at.
All right, so now is our time for questions, and you guys are definitely putting in lots of questions, and we have plenty of time to answer them. So, oh, okay. So both Mr. Dorsey and I are trying to answer questions and multitask a little bit. So I'm going to put this real big on our screen. Now I'm going to go back to the top just to make sure that we're not missing anything. All right, so we talked about drop-off traffic at both schools. There are no changes to traffic patterns. Oh, okay, so one area was COVID. Question asked about what are the protocols that we're going to have for COVID, especially because we definitely see that we are in an outbreak. And so most of our protocols are going to, actually all of the protocols are going to continue that we had at the end of last year. So you will see that we start off this year with back to school nights and other events, but we are still encouraging masking. We still have strong disinfecting and cleaning going on across the campuses. Our health office is very robust. We have, I don't know if our parents understand, but we went from having one full-time nurse and a part-time nurse to having two full-time licensed nurses, one at each campus, plus an LVN who supports AAE while our RN is at Norton, and health clerks in both health offices. So we went from a staff of 2 to a staff of 6. We have additional Lewis Center support to help track COVID and do contact tracing and those kinds of things as well. So, so still taking a lot of precautions there. If there are any children who are positive with COVID, we'll be sending out alerts like we did last year and whatnot, and still doing staff training on COVID protocols as we welcome back staff.
Unvaccinated parents and volunteering?
Yeah, so one change is we are going to be doing weekly testing for all of our parent volunteers, regardless of vaccination status. We do have testing supplies now that weren't always available at other stages of the pandemic. So both school offices will have kits available for parent volunteers. They'll be doing self-testing, and we'll be tracking that they're taken at least weekly. We think that regardless of vaccination status, what we're learning from public health is people are still getting COVID. And so we want to prevent a spread. And so we're going to ask all of our parent volunteers to continue to test weekly, regardless of vaccination status. So last year we were not able to, we didn't really have the system in place to have unvaccinated parents volunteer. This year, we're just going to test everybody weekly, regardless. So if you are not vaccinated, you could still volunteer. Our staff will still be, we have testing on site from Loma Linda at both of our campuses. So we have ample testing for our staff and for any students who are symptomatic, and then also encouraging our staff to get vaccinated, but it is not a requirement at this time as long as they test weekly.
Some questions about field trips this year?
Field trips, just in general.
Back? Yes.
Principals, the answer is yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, we are doing them. And that's exciting, scheduling them at both sites. Okay, let's see what other parents, there's a question about parents attending our trainings. So we do have parent trainings like Dr. Longoria talked about. We were really excited about our partnership with the Sheriff's Department. They're really coming alongside us. They're the ones who are doing, we did preliminary campus safety audits where I walked around with one of the captains to look at where we're vulnerable on our sites, looking at doors and windows and access points and things like that. We have another of those scheduled for each campus with our principals, and so we'll be doing a very detailed campus audit. But they are also willing to do those parent trainings. So we'll be keeping our parents in doing trainings that are specific to you and staff training that's specific to staff. So there are some things that we share with our staff that we don't make public because it's not safe for us to do so, such as certain evacuation maps or certain information that would be considered private to get out there in the public. So we don't post those on our website, and we don't have others join us. And then also when we do the multi-agency drills on both campuses, our campuses will be completely locked down. So because there are rounds going off and there's a lot of activity, we have done, I believe, 3 or 4 of them over the years at AAE. We never have had an opportunity to do it in San Bernardino, but I know like Ms. Foster has joined us up here in Apple Valley for those, and we completely lock down the campus for those. We alert all of our neighbors on what's happening because it's a pretty big deal. There was another question about like, wait, you're only doing violent intruder training once a year? No, we're starting off through the Ted Alejandre's office, the County Superintendent of Schools office is doing training for our staffs. We're planning the multi-agency violent intruder training later in the school year. And then we're also doing it with staff and students during drills. So it's not a one and done. And also we will be providing family training through the Sheriff's Department. That is one of their topics.
Are masks required next year at both schools?
They are optional at both schools. Encouraged, but not required.
Fall Festival AAE is going to happen.
Yep.
Is lunch free again this year? Yes. That's when school is over. I'm answering random questions.
School starts August 3rd, both schools. We're very excited about that. Can we walk, AAE Elementary, can we walk our children to class the first day of school?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you'll be dropping them off at the door, saying hi and wishing them a great day.
Okay. Have you notified the parents about this parent workshop, the events? Okay, wait. Have you notified the parents about this parent workshop, the few events you have had do not give 2-week notification for parents to attend? Actually, this one we set up at least a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, and we've sent out many notifications. I believe that we have, where you can find it, this is where we will notify you for parent workshops. And we've tried to be really good about this. So maybe I don't know what's missing, but we've tried to put it on our social media. So we've really, the parent workshops are really trying to do, unless they're in person, trying to do them globally like we're doing tonight. That way we can offer them in both Spanish and English for all of our Lewis Center families. So we will post them on the school's social media pages. We will post them through Infinite Campus. So you should get a notification through Infinite Campus. We try to do it more than one time even. So usually when we first schedule it and then a quick reminder before the event, the same thing on social media. And eventually we're going to get marquees at both of our campuses and we'll be putting it there. So, but yeah, we almost always will schedule them with more than 2 weeks notice, unless it's something like during COVID when we were responding to things that were emerging and changing constantly.
There's a question about the emergency supply backpacks that are in the classroom.
Oh yeah. So they are restocked every year. I don't know, do maybe Sally and Myrna want to talk about that? What does it say specifically?
Also a question, does it include toilets in case there's a lockdown and students need to use the restroom?
Yes.
Our CSOs right now have the backpacks in their possession because they're restocking them for August 3rd, so the teachers can have them restock in their classrooms. And the toilets are individual separately. Each classroom each has one too. But same thing at AAE, I'm sure.
Same thing at AAE. Each classroom has their own separate toilet with a all supplies needed, including a privacy drape.
Yep, we have that too.
We really learned a lot when we had the situation in San Bernardino years ago. We definitely experienced that. It was traumatic for all of us who were part of that, and we realized the need to have those adaptable toilets in the classroom in case we're locked down for hours, which we were in that case. So that's a good question. Thank you.
If a parent has attended the volunteer workshop previously, do they have to attend again this year?
Yes.
Not for AAE if it was last year. So last year's, we held workshops, and so if you did one last year, you are already check marked on that. Anything prior to the year before that would be needing a new workshop. Really, just if you have any questions or what your requirements would be, either email me or attend the next workshop when we schedule it.
And at Norton, we didn't have one last year, so everybody's required.
Provide it, yeah, but sending it to those that were asking for jobs and safety officers.
Okay, so we do have several folks who maybe are interested in working at your child's school, and Mr. Dorsey is trying to send you the EdJoin job links directly. So we also post that on social media too when we have some jobs, but we would love it, even if you just want to sub for us, like if you want to come in sometimes and maybe work in food services or campus safety officer or the front office.
We need IAs in Norton.
We do need, yeah, lots of positions. And I can tell you, I know for sure several of us have had our children here or currently have our children here, and there's nothing like getting to go to work with your kids. So we would love to encourage you to apply.
When can they bring in classroom supplies for their students, teachers?
First day of school?
First day of school. Somebody was asking earlier, but I know the next couple of days we have Capturing Kids' Hearts with our staff, so wouldn't be available, but if you bring those in on the first day of school.
You think, Lisa and Myrna?
Yep, first day.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about Capturing Kids' Hearts too. Mr. Richards mentioned that we're doing that. So we have 100 of our staff will be going through Capturing Kids' Hearts training. And one of the reasons why we're really investing so much into that training is not only is it just an amazing training that many of us have been through, but what it really emphasizes is the power of relationships. And when you look at all of the research about school safety, the #1 thing to keep our kids safe from self-harm or from a violent, an intruder or anything like that is relationships. And so almost always, if there's going to be an incident, there was some kind of forewarning if we're listening carefully. That's why we have all of these apps, and that's why building relationships with our kids is so important to us. And so I just want you to know that that really is a very research-based strategy, and we're going to be very intentional about that. I think Sally, Ms. Ritchie had mentioned that we were able to intervene in what we felt were probably very viable suicide attempts last year. And I think all of us have been engaged in those middle of the night conversations that are those kind of conversations we never want to have with our families, but we're so thankful that we got, somebody alerted us, right? Whether it was another student that they reached out to, a parent of a friend that they reached out to through a Stop It app, or they reach out to us directly. And so it really all does boil down to the relationships that we have with you, relationships that you have with your kids, and then relationships that we have with all of our kids here on campus. So.
Question of, do they still submit lunch applications even though we have free and reduced lunch?
Yes, please.
Yes,
please.
but so I wanted to go
Yes.
back to the question about allowing our parents to go to the classroom the first day. Lisa answered for AAE. Norton, they're only gonna go to the gate. We're not gonna allow them to go to the classrooms, not even the first day. So I wanted parents to know that if they're listening right now, it's like to the gate the first day. And lunch applications, definitely, please continue to fill them. Continue to fill them.
Yeah, and so it makes a really big difference. So our two schools, I don't know if our parents understand. I think sometimes when we ask you to fill out the free and reduced lunch application, there's a misconception that we're trying to, I don't know, sometimes there are misconceptions. But let me just share just a little snippet, the difference of how our schools are funded. So a lot of additional funding came from the state this year after the first budget adoption was handled. And so it means that at Norton, and especially I believe it's elementary, we're getting $1,000 more per student than AAE receives based on the free and reduced lunch applications. So even if you don't think that you might qualify, it's really helpful for us to just get everybody to fill it out, because then we make sure that it's truly reflective of the student populations that we're serving. The more of those state dollars we receive, the more programs, support, security, all of these things that we're talking about, fencing, all of that, it allows us to do all of that for our kiddos. So I beg you to fill it out. Okay.
When will parents hear about the after-school programs at each campus?
At Norton, we started the calls this week. Mr. Gustavo Gonzalez or whoever is being able to help him, he started making the calls this week to confirm a spot or to let parents know that we are already on a waiting list. We have a high interest for after-school program this year. And like we said earlier, we need adults to come and work for our campus. If we don't have the adults, I cannot open more classrooms for the after-school program because I have nobody to supervise the children. So at Norton, we started making the calls this week.
At AAE, we partner with the town of Apple Valley for their after-school program. And so any families that are interested should contact them. Their number is on the applevalley.org website. It's under recreation, and they would be able to help you with signups for that. I have not heard if they are full or not, but if they are, they do have a wait list as well.
We do too.
There's a question about the Stop It app and perhaps opening it to elementary students.
We
I
have
just
had
wanna
elementary students use it. We
Have
have had
So
elementary students use it.
Yeah, so I think that's something our team will take back. We rolled it out first with middle school and high school, but there definitely are options and grade appropriate materials for lower grades. So I think we'll take that into consideration. Thank you for raising that.
Tomorrow, I'm not sure what campus you're from, but there's a concern that ASB has been canceled.
No.
Both schools have ASB,
Yes.
correct?
We're working
So
on it.
at Norton, we're working on a new teacher,
We're
but it's not
working on
canceled. There's
No.
another question about separating middle school and high school from elementary, and I'm not sure which campus that is either. but maybe both campuses want to talk about how that is.
We are separated. If on one side of our campus is all our elementary school, 1st through 5th, and TK Kinder. TK Kinder are even gated on their own section. TK and Kinder cannot come out to the 1st through 5th grade playground or anything like that. They're gated in their own section. And our cafeteria is pretty much in the middle, and that really divides elementary school and middle school, high school. So to the other side of the cafeteria is where we have our middle school, high school building. So we are really at Norton separated from elementary to middle school, high school. Our only common place will be cafeteria, but they're never there at the same time.
AAE?
I can address that. Our TK through 2nd grade classes are on one end of the campus. The 3rd through 5th is on the other end, and the middle school and the high school are also separated. They also have separate lunches, so there's very little interaction between them.
There's another question, just kind of jumping all over the place. Will we receive calls if an on-campus incident happens in real time rather than just getting an email? So it depends. So if there was an active shooter or some kind of incident that was a very high need, we would send out an immediate alert that would go out through Infinite Campus. Last year, there was an incident at Norton where we investigated something. We had emergency personnel responding to that investigation. We immediately determined there was no active threat on the campus, but because the officers were still there during pickup, we wanted to send something out just to assure you that we had immediately assessed it. There was no credible threat, and that we worked closely with law enforcement during the investigation. So that is why that email went out later. So it really varies on how we will communicate with our families depending on what it is. Our schools are large. We have well over 1,000 students this year. AAE is the biggest, both schools are the biggest they've ever been. So AAE is over 1,500 and Norton is over 1,200, growing to that 1,500 very quickly. And so you can imagine that our school admin conducts lots of investigations. Sometimes law enforcement is here to assist us with that. We're really lucky with our partnerships with law enforcement and are looking for that contract with San Bernardino City Schools Police at Norton. Sometimes law enforcement, though, is on our campuses because they're visiting their children or they're meeting with us about something else. So like imagine like when we're doing the campus audit, we're walking through, we're with law enforcement, but they're just helping us partner with us to make our schools safe. So every time law enforcement is on our campuses does not mean they're responding to a safety concern or a student incident. So we want to be as transparent with you as we possibly can be. And we will try to keep you in the loop. And our #1 line of communication with anything like that is going to be Infinite Campus. So if you want to get an immediate alert, there's a way to set it up to get text message, right? So that it comes straight to your phone, so you can adjust that.
Parent wanting some reassurances about background checks and fingerprinting of parent volunteers.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do Department of Justice and FBI background checks on all of our parent volunteers and staff. Yeah, and volunteer trainings and COVID testing.
And subsequent arrest notifications.
Yes.
So
yeah,
that's
we
why,
have.
I would say that's why we are not taking fingerprinting from other agencies, because if there was something going on in someone's background and that other agency is notified, we would not be notified. So that's why we do our own live scan.
That's a really good point, Dr. Longoria. And then also federal and state. So we get notified if it's anything even outside of the state or outside of the area, if there was any arrest or any incident, and also background. That's a great question.
Question about additional shade structures at Norton in the lower grade as well as the playground.
Both at Norton?
Yep.
We're still working on it too. I know I have had several meetings with Ryan Chamberlain, who is at Norton helping us. So we are really doing everything we can. We're still talking to him and trying to bring some more shade. We hear it, we understand it, we know it gets really, really hot over there. So that is on our to-do list, and continue to see what else we can do to do something more permanent than just tents. But for right now, I can tell you we definitely have it in our list of things that we need to work on.
I think shade is an ongoing pursuit. I know we're adding more at AAE and NSLA. It's just something that we constantly are working on. Trees too. Norton, we have plans for 25 additional trees, shade trees that we'll be putting in when the landscaping for the gym comes in.
Status of the Norton playground?
It is closer than you think. We're working on it.
We hear you. I know, trust me, I do. I hear you.
Yeah. We, one of the things, our foundation had raised $60,000 for the playground. And, but we believe that, I think, Victor, we're gonna try to use some of the additional funding to go ahead and take care of that and get that installed soon. So hopefully this year.
Question if the vendor has changed for food, for lunches for students.
For both, yes. Yes and yes.
And then when will the menu be posted online?
I don't know.
Soon. Soon is the answer.
What, does anybody know? I will ask. When the lunch menus will be posted, I'll ask Ms. Calderon. Okay, thank you for that one. We'll get it up there. There is on both school websites, if you scroll down a little bit, there's like a everything you need to know about to return to school button for both AAE and NSLA. We'll make sure that that school lunch menu gets there. The bell schedules are there for elementary, middle school, and high school. The calendars, school calendars are there. School supply list, all of that stuff is there.
And Mr. Gruber has notified me that they are finalizing the menus this week and they should be posted.
Mr. Gruber, good job, Mr.
Thank you,
Gruber.
David.
Thank you.
When is new student orientation?
Okay, when are new student orientations at AAE?
I believe they're Monday at 3 o'clock. I hate to say that verbally without checking, but I'm going to check right now.
Norton is tomorrow at 4:30.
New family orientation is at 3 p.m. in our gym on Monday, August 1st at AAE.
And tomorrow at 4:30?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, tomorrow we have the new and returning family orientation. So we're going to see if we can fit everybody in there. So because
Mr. Uribe, I believe that's for elementary only, is that correct?
that is for elementary 1st through 5th grade.
And we have the middle school one scheduled for, let me check.
Middle school and high school is August 2nd at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
There's some questions about our shoe colors at Norton. Shoes can be any color, correct, Ms. Foster?
That's correct.
Yes, so we did streamline our uniform and dress code policy. So we have some dress code things that are organizational that apply to all of our students. And then each school has their own uniform policy. And so those were posted. They should also be linked on the website under everything you need to know about school. But school shoe color at both schools can be of your choosing. School supplies for 9th grade, I think just your teachers will let you know just the general supplies. And then their teachers will let them know the first week if there's anything special. So yeah, shoe colors can be anything. New student orientation for TK has already been held at both schools, I believe. No?
We have Another one, we have one scheduled for also Tuesday. The TK one is at 8 a.m. and the kinder one is at 9 a.m.
Great. Anything else for AAE, or is it already complete?
It's all at the same time for new family orientation, TK through 12, all new families.
Fall Festival is a go this year at AAE. I think we got them all. There are a lot. This has been so great. Oh, does high school need PE clothing? That is also in the uniform and dress code policy for both schools. Basically, they can dress out in uniform colors, athletic clothes in uniform colors, but they're not required to dress out.
For your Infinite Campus question, depending on which campus you're at, please call Help Desk at extension 435 at AAE and the Help Desk 789 at Norton. And we can help you get set up. We can help you with some of the notifications, turning on push notifications, all that good stuff. Or you can email help@lcer.org.
Will elementary grades get an iPad tablet?
So TK2 are going to be class set iPads, and the remaining grades are on Chromebooks. We held our third grade rollout today at AAE, and Norton's is on Thursday. We'll send an Infinite Campus reminder tomorrow.
Question about if students can request COVID testing regardless of symptoms. Absolutely. We have ample testing for staff and students, and so there's anytime they want to be tested, they can be. Will basketball be available as a sport at Norton? Yes, we are absolutely working on our sports, and our gym finally broke ground, which is a very exciting thing. Yay! So yeah, we will be working on all of our sports. We just hired a new athletic director, Mr. John Keller. He's got a ton of experience. He'll be working with our athletic director at AAE, Scott Gormley, and so it's exciting to see that we'll have two athletic directors. They're both amazing educators, and we're excited about our sports programs at both schools.
For AAE, will parents and pastries be held in person?
That's a good question.
Yes, I'm okay with that. That's yes.
And I guess just in case, for Norton, cafecito?
Cafecito, as long as you guys, share with the pan.
I think back to school nights, we'll talk a lot about things like spirit wear for each school. We'll be talking more about COVID. We'll have representatives from the IT department there. Of course, next week you can come in or call to IT if you have any tech questions. Our athletic directors will be on site at our back to school nights to talk about sports at both schools. And so a lot more information. So on the 10th at AAE and the 11th at Norton, we'll be able to have even more information. Our PTO and PTC will be on hand as well, probably with spirit wear to purchase. So I think we got most of them. If we didn't get any of your questions, please email any of us directly, or stop and see us or give us a call. I just want to thank you. We had well over 100 people attend this forum. We feel really blessed. We never take for granted the fact that you entrust your children into our care every single day. We're honored by that. We don't take it lightly. We strive to be the very, very best, and we know that comes when we're all working together. So I would say we're thrilled about this year. It's going to start off in a way that feels there's so much enthusiasm in our offices and as our teachers are coming back. And so we're really looking forward to it. So tell the kiddos to get some rest, and we're going to have a great school year. So thank you, everybody.